Thank you so much for inviting me to talk. My name is Marcia Forbes, and my position is that I'm the co-owner, co-founder, executive chairperson of Phase 3 Productions, a 37-year-old multimedia television production company. Okay, decorated and dynamic leader. Thank you very much for that compliment. My path for Phase 3. There are a lot of stories that I can tell you about the path to Phase 3 because it evolved. It wasn't just a direct linear process. It was something that meandered and grew. But my husband, who was my boyfriend, I met him at 17 years of age, and he was a techie. You know, when we talk about techies in Jamaica, we think about computers. Well, we're talking pre-computer age. This was in the early 1970s. But his idea of being a techie, or my idea of him being a techie, is that he loved gadgets. He wasn't the qualified engineer. His brother, his older brother, is a civil engineer, but my husband was a bush doctor engineer. He could wire anything and not make a mistake. And so he was very, very busy in the music side of things. He had a sound system called Sounds Impossible. He managed a band that he told me, I didn't know him at the time that he was managing the band, but he told me it was called Rickabacker and the Stepping Stones, and with the mystic revelation of Rastafari. So he would make his turntable, he said, was invented by him in that he had a light under the needle. The old people who are listening might understand this. When the record was playing, it had a little needle on the turntable that would go in the grooves of the record. And he created a little light that would light up that section where the needle hit the record. So he was really a techie. Now that interest in technology evolved over the time that I knew him. And so it wasn't strange that video came to Jamaica. And to be honest, we heard that Michael Manley, who was the prime minister at the time, that Michael Manley loved watching videos. I don't know if that is true or not, but you know, we thought, oh, well, there's a need and there's a demand and people really want these videos. And so we started, I was in charge of renting the videos. We had a video rental business. It wasn't a formal company. And then he was in charge of the content collection and content creation side of it. And he had some friends who they all had their full-time jobs, but that was, now they talk about side hustle. That was our side hustle. And we ventured into video in the early 1980s. And to cut a long story short, we did very well. In no time, we had three TV programs on JBC TV, which was the only television station in Jamaica at that time. And it was owned by the government of Jamaica. And so this thing was doing so well as a cottage industry that I said, you know, okay, we need to formalize. And I asked my friend, who was an attorney at law, to draft up the company papers, and she did. And Angela Robertson, she's still a practicing attorney at law. And my husband and I, he was then my husband, we created the bank account. I never forget, it was with ICWI, Dennis Layla, Citizens Bank, it was in those days. And, you know, so we became a limited liability company with a bank account. So we're now getting formalized. And we rented a facility. It was a Mutual Life became Sagicor. It was a Mutual Life complex right behind Bolivar Gallery, right by where the Tropical Battery place is. That road that we were on was Osborne Road, but you could throw a stone from Halfway Tree main road into that place. So it was very close to Halfway Tree. And we got into proper business. Now, JBC TV that I mentioned before had a lot of problems. And their outside broadcast truck broke down. And they commissioned us for over a year to do all their multi-camera large-scale events. So we were there with JBC when the Queen, President Reagan, Bishop Tutu, Nelson Mandela before he became President, Fidel Castro, Edna Manley when she died, her funeral. We were there in the thick of everything, providing services to JBC. So this really worked for us on many fronts. One, we really got to know how to do a multi-camera broadcast in record time, how to set up the cameras and how to execute. We also made some money from all of this. That's the second thing. And then thirdly, we met all the industry practitioners. So those days were very heady days for us because, you know, we're growing a business. We never thought of ourselves as entrepreneurs. We just thought we're doing this business and things are going well. And we fast forward to now where multi-camera coverage is one of the aspects of the services that we are highly known and regarded, respected for. In fact, the last time Usain Bolt ran in Jamaica, we were employed by Television Jamaica to cover that event for them. We invested heavily in extended cables to be able to follow Usain around the track. You are too young to even remember how that went, but it was really something that we're able to do that. And many TVJ, like Rising Star, we did a whole season of Rising Star when TVJ started that. The Suzanne Symes show, we used to do that for her every week. And there are many, when CVM TV got the rights to World Cup, the athletics, what was it? Probably about, gosh, time flies, about 6 years ago, they asked us to come and hold their hands to make sure, because the Broadcasting Commission had actually written them and said, no, you have the rights to this. You have to make sure people can see the signal. And we went in several weeks before the event and we held their hands. And it was, you know, executed very well. And we're very happy that we've been able to create that place in the Jamaican industry where no CONCACAF, we are the CONCACAF people in the region who do any CONCACAF matches that are played in the region, they call on us to assist. So we have traveled through, not just for CONCACAF, but also for other projects. We've traveled through about 14 Caribbean territories, including Cuba, where we went a couple of years ago, and we had to collect, not just gather the video content, but also edit in Spanish. So we've been stretching ourselves. We've been to the French Caribbean, the Spanish-speaking Caribbean, right through the Anglophone Caribbean, doing jobs of various levels. Well, you know, it's funny because when people say pivot, I say phase 3 never pivoted during COVID. We actually expanded and enhanced because I had written this book. This book was published in 2012. And if you see the title of this book, Streaming, because and it's research driven, all the material I collected pointed to the fact that streaming was how television was going to be positioned. And so we didn't wait. We started investing in streaming technologies, investing in terms of buying the equipment. But beyond that, we took the time to train our people in live streaming. And Delana went abroad and learned how to stream at a professional level. And in fact, in 2013, the JTDA, the Jamaica Amateur Athletics Association, they had the national trials, and we had a pay-per-view stream, phase 3 partnered with them and said, look, we will provide the streaming services, and this is our investment. We thought we were going to make money. We never made a cent. I tell people we lost our shirt, but we didn't lose our pants. But importantly, we learned so much. I started on Instagram that same day. If you look at my Instagram account, you'll see that the first 3 images are from the JTDA event that we're covering. And we were there on the phone answering questions from all over the world. The bandwidth wasn't, people were calling us, why can't they see the signal? They didn't even have a banger phone, but they wanted to see the signal. So it made us realize that there was a lot of ignorance when it came on to digital and how the digital domain works. And it's funny because today UNESCO and the Broadcasting Commission of Jamaica hosted a webinar looking at digital literacy and the information age. And the same thing that I realized from 2013 is what we're still talking about, that the digital literacy is a real issue. So we invested in live streaming prior to COVID-19, and we bought high-end equipment. Now, since COVID expansion, we refigured our two main facilities. So we have our head office here, and we have our studio facility at the Trade Center. We have another couple other facilities, but these two main ones were reconfigured. So we actually have an integration suite that produces remote events from a centralized control room here at our head office. So that room, we call it our blue room. You can't just open that door and go in, you kind of have to know when we're on air. And then bonded cellular technology we invested in, where we can stream from any location that has cellular access, and we can get a stable and secure stream. And then we also invested in technologies where we can produce, we can do remote productions with proprietary communication systems to link with production crews from anywhere in the world. And this particular one is like magic to me, because somebody was producing a documentary on Colin Kaepernick, and this person was in Mandeville. And the day my son walked into my office and he showed me, it wasn't a phone, it was an instrument like this. By the way, I got a new iPhone 13 yesterday, but he showed me a little piece of gadget, and I was able to look at all the camera angles that they had that in Mandeville, and they were able to talk to the director directly. So, we've done stuff through Maxine Walters' company. We've done stuff for Usain Bolt, where the directors abroad can comment on what they want and how they want. Shaggy Spice in Port Royal, that whole video go down there that we shot on that section of the port that had never been done before with Spice and Sean Paul and Shaggy, and it was on the morning show in America, Good Morning America, and it has really played to rave reviews. So we're now doing things through live streaming and delayed streaming that are greatly enhanced since COVID-19. I think a lot of things, to be very, very frank, and without coming across as boasting, but we are doggedly customer-centric. I'll hear Delano and other members of our team agonize when we think a customer hasn't got the full value of whatever we think we should have delivered, because we sell peace of mind. When you come to phase 3, you must be able to leave it to us to just deliver, and you don't have to worry. We think ahead of our clients' needs, and we try to work to find cost-effective solutions for their pain points. Sometimes I don't even realize what their pain point, but we'll pick up that, look, they need this, and so this is how we're going to have to deal with it. And some clients are very stubborn, so they just tell them, look, let us deal with the access to the broadband. They'll tell you, no, they have connections, as has happened recently. About a month ago, we said to the client, let's deal with the no, and on the day, they're tearing out their hair because they wanted substantial broadband. And at that stage, everybody's calling everybody and trying to put something in place. So yes, we try to guide our clients. So customer-centric is important. Experience is something that we have ahead of all the others. I mean, we are 37 years old. That counts for something. And people might say, oh, you're old and dotish. No. If you know me in particular, I keep abreast. And training, we train. There was one year, about 2015, we brought in 3 different sets of overseas people. And when we train, we don't train our full-time core staff because we have a small team of full-time members. Our business model has always been that we use freelancers, and we pride ourselves in developing the industry. So that is something that we're very, very proud of, the role that we play. So since COVID, just we got in a new piece of technology, and we've been training on that. Research and development. I know there are companies that just wait for us to R&D and to invest in certain technologies. And the minute you do it, you see them following. So like LED screens, I remember, it was about, before Delano, it was about 9 years ago, or it could be 10 years, where I remember he was spending sleepless nights reading up, and we were to go to China to invest in these LED screens. As it worked out, we bought the screens, we didn't go to China, but after we bought the screens, we established a relationship with a company that manufactures a screen, and everybody else in Jamaica started buying those screens. Well, off every one of those screens sold, we make a smalls, because we were the ones who went and researched it and brought that company to Jamaica. So we're really and truly, we keep abreast of changes, and importantly, the creative application of technology, because having the technology is one thing, but being able to use whatever technology you have is very important. Our crew, we spend time to make sure that our crew understand that because you learned something last year doesn't mean that you stop learning, and just constantly trying for our crew to understand that. I've told them, go to YouTube, go online, see how things are. In fact, when we invested in conference interpretation technology, because we can provide hardware and software to facilitate about 1,000 members at a conference, speaking up to 8-10 different languages. A lot of people don't know that this service is even in Jamaica. And that was where I was to make a lot of money last year when COVID struck, and all the conferences that were to come to Jamaica, they either canceled or delayed and still haven't come. And so investing in the technology, that particular technology, we went online and learned how to use it. We meaning the crew. I'm not, technical that way, but the crew, but we still brought down somebody from overseas, and the job at Ritz-Carlton Hotel was operating at the time. And I remember he came and with our crew at Ritz-Carlton, and the rest is history. Conference interpretation is something that we really, really have been able to grow that side of the business. Wow. Now that one is a tough question to narrow it down to 3 lessons, because I've learned so much. If I had to quickly say 3 without elaborating on each, but I will go back to elaborate. 1, I've learned to embrace change. That's essential. You must be comfortable with change. 2, I've learned that you have to eat your fare. That whatever you're afraid of, you have to eat it and suck it up. You have to cherish your team. So to elaborate on each of those, media has been the most disrupted industry, I think, in the world. And if you're a media practitioner, you know that that is true. Everything has changed. From my time as general manager of Television Jamaica, which was, I went there in 1997 and I left in 2003, everything has changed. I lecture the students. I'm a senior adjunct lecturer at the University of the West Indies, and I've been lecturing in media management, but this year I'm lecturing marketing, the media entity, and marketing is the area that I have my master's in. But everything has changed since I got my master's, and learning all about the changes to be able to lecture. It has been a fascinating journey for me, because it means you have to relearn, unlearn, and especially when it comes to metrics, you know, these big old books of media survey findings that are published 2 years after they went in the field. Those days are dead. You get your analytics, whichever route you get them, and you study, and you, I remember I was doing an art auction for the United Way of Jamaica, because I'm the immediate past chair and the first female chair of the United Way of Jamaica. And Phase 3 sponsored and underwrote the cost of this art auction. And when we were promoting, it took about 6 weeks to promote it before, and we were able to use the analytics and to pivot in the middle of what we're doing to say, look, we're not getting the profile of this particular demographic, and so let's put some promoted post. And we did that, and we could see the difference. And you know, when you really measure, and the engagement was outstanding, and the retweets, and the event was extremely successful. I have now subsequently heard of many persons trying to do what Phase 3 had done for the United Way, and they have not been successful yet. The University of the West Indies saw how that was done and came to Phase 3 recently and said, look, we want to do an art auction. We want to do it professionally. Will you partner with us? And I said, yes, because the university is my alma mater. Plus I lecture there, and, you know, so yes, so we will partner with the university in the early part of the new year to help them to raise funds through this art auction. So embracing change is essential. And doing that art auction, as I said, it was, we were sponsoring, we never made, we didn't charge United Way anything, but we learned so much, because the week after that art auction, and that was when there was hurricane coming and all sort of problem, lockdown, and the week after we got a paid job to do another, it wasn't an art auction, it was a horse act at Kimanis Park auction. So we're able to charge for that. So sometimes you have to take risk. Remember, I tell you, the JTDA event that we lost our shirt, but we didn't lose our pants. So this is an art auction for United, where we never made any money, and it cost me a lot of money, a lot of payout, because the staff all had to be paid. So eating your fare. We don't have any long-term contracts. You might have a signed contract for like Kingston, where the World Bank was paying and the Prime Minister's office, and we had to answer like a 200-page bid document, and we won that bid. It was 3,500 people all over the world who attended. But I'll tell you, we were concerned about, oh my God, you know, this has never been done like this before. We had done Sagicor that had like about 1,000 people. Now we're getting into the multiples of 1,000. So you have to eat your fare. You have no, like in COVID, we never earned any money for April. 90% of our revenue just disappeared, but we're able to build back. So your team. In December, we gave members of our staff COVID awards, those who really stayed with it and were here through thick or thin and really worked with Delano, because, you know, I'm not in the technical part. I come for moral support and for guidance, and I watch the bottom line. I will, you know, try and stay on top of things with that. But just to be here with the team, it makes a big difference, because as a leader, I recall the television Jamaica, when they had the gas routes. You're way too young to remember that they had gas routes. And I was coming from an RJR board meeting, and I was driving with the chairman along with his secretary. And when we got to where we are now at Winchester Business Center, that used to be the best dressed chicken. There was a big chicken, a Mr. and Mrs. Chicken. You know, you remember it? You remember two chickens, one rooster and a chicken dressed up in clothes. And that was right there. And when I got to there, I said, okay, Lester, I will walk down to TVG. And I picked up my bag and I walked down to TVG, and I never left the station till after midnight. And there were gas routes. And next morning, I was in my Land Rover going around, picking up tapes, taking back to the station. So as a leader, you really have to eat your fare and cherish your team, because everybody was going out there trying to make sure that we had a good sense of what was happening with those routes. Very short, prove your worth and expect respect. When I was leaving TVJ, Kathy Gale, I can call her name, she was a producer at the station, and she came to my office in tears, and she said, you know, Mrs. Forbes, I tried very hard not to like you because you're so hard. You're a hard taskmaster, but I grew to love you. And she gave me a lovely, lovely letter thanking me for the experience. So, you know, big men came and they cried big, long tears that I was leaving them. But you really have to prove your worth. They wouldn't have done that if I didn't prove my worth and earn their respect, because, you know, you can't, people don't respect you because you're cute. I mean, I'm cute, yes, but how to entertain myself. The late Captain Burrell had sent a message through Delia Harris to me, and he said, tell Mrs. Forbes that I don't take orders from no woman. And I sent back through Delia, I said, and tell Captain Burrell that I'm not taking any order from no man. So, and we became fast friends. So you really have to prove your worth. I think more than anything else, people don't know the work that Phase 3 has done within this industry. And perhaps not me per se to be remembered for, but I would like for it to be better known, because we're very bad at PR. And my son does not like to talk about himself or the company. I'm better at talking about the company. But I'd like Phase 3 to always be considered and known to be that entity that has grown this industry in the direction it has grown it, where we have invested in certain kinds of technologies that have put Jamaica in a position to be able to offer services to clients that are of world standard in terms of the equipment and world standard in terms of the capacity of a team to execute the job.